Law School Secret Series 3. Criminal Law. Criminal Law limited to the United States. Welcome, glad you're here. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Here are my qualifications. I will not teach any courses that I haven't taken and done well at. And today we're going to discuss an overview of criminal law categories that will be covered in subsequent videos and a brief review of a previous. Now, suggestions are that you create an outline, and there are some example outlines and links to them on my website. It's a Google site for the California Bar and more. Covers the first year baby bar tips as well. It's in my description box on my channel. Now, when you take an exam, you need to create this cheat sheet and make some catchy phrases and ways to remember it. For now, I'm going to give you an overview of what you need for the shell of your checklist and a review of some important points. Do memorize the black letter law, elements of the crime, and there's some other nuances that you need to learn for essay writing. And I'm going to do some videos in the future on that, but right now we're just going to cover this. Um, okay, so the elements of a crime. All crimes must contain elements of a crime. There are several elements. Generally, it can be broken down by mens rea intent and acts rea a volitional act, concurrence, causation, actual and proximate cause, a resulting injury or crime. Now, acts rea is sometimes not necessary, and it is called an omission crime. Omission crimes are a failure to act when you have a duty to act. They are often by contract or relationship, and an example is as a United States citizen, if you are working and generating income, generally most income over a certain threshold you must file taxes. There are certain exemptions to that. Um, the crime will be tax evasion for omitting or failing to pay your taxes. That's an omission crime. Okay, so let's review. As said previously, the law has nuances, exceptions, loopholes. It has various factors that must be applied to have standing. There's jurisdictional considerations, there's case made law or common law that is judge made law, and basically there's a majority opinion and a minority opinion. And sometimes over history, a majority opinion will become a minority, and a minority will become a majority. So when you're reading your old case law, always refer to the most recent law in common law that has been applied. You've got legislative laws, that's federal and state laws, and you have Model Penal Code, abbreviated as MPC, and constitutional law. Now, here are some considerations for you to think about. Ex post facto laws. The Constitution forbids laws that are retroactive. A great example of this is the horrific case of Keeler versus Supreme Court, where a, in 1970 in California, a husband intentionally murdered the baby in his wife's womb because he thought the baby was not hers. I mean, he knew it was hers. And the baby actually came out stillborn with a fractured skull. Anyway, he was found not guilty. Since then, the law's changed. They can't take him back to court because the Constitution forbids ex post facto laws. You can't apply the new law since biology as as the law evolves, we learn more things. We learn that we know that baby would most likely be viable. Anyhow, okay, there's the rule of leniency. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm tired. Okay, this is originally an English. It's born out of English law, and it is basically ambiguity in the law should be held in the defendant's favor. That's the reasonable standard. If a reasonable person is not going to be able to understand that, then they might rule in favor of the defendant. But ignorance is never an excuse or not knowing the law for not being charged. Okay, void for vagueness. These laws, um, that is, laws that are too vague, are struck down in the Supreme Court. If a law is too broad, and it can be voided for vagueness. Burden of proof. Now, there's a higher standard in the criminal court than in the civil court for the burden of proof. Typically, the burden of proof starts with the state or the government uh, to prove, but the burden can shift to the defendant. Remember, it's beyond a reasonable doubt and preponderance of the evidence, typically. Now, the outer outline of crimes classification. Okay, so the keys on the top for future checklists that will be more detailed: crimes against a person, assault, battery, mayhem, kidnapping, rape, homicide, and the defenses, the excuses: crimes against the property, theft, larceny, burglary, robbery, embezzlement, false pretenses, arson, receiving stolen property, larceny by trick, and the list goes on. This is just a shell. And then there's SAC crimes: solicitation, attempt, conspiracy. And those are specific intent. Um, Remember also that crimes are categorized by specific intent and general intent, and that the laws vary on how you apply it depending on that category it falls into. Okay, let's get to the top of the list: crimes against persons. Assault is either an attempt to commit a battery or intent to place another in fear of imminent injury. Usually it's serious bodily injury or harm. And this guy looks like he is feeling in fear of harm in the photograph. He hasn't been struck yet. Um, I don't know the entire context of this, but I thought the image was appropriate. Crimes against persons. I found this image of a guy actually physically touching, assaulting. Um, Now, assault. I mean, it's battery now. It's not assault anymore. Battery is the intentional or reckless causing of bodily injury or offensive touching. And remember always that battery and assault are vaguely, differently interpreted in the courts, in the criminal court, than they would be in the civil. And that also goes for categories like causation. Now, ponder these aspects until next time. Continue keeping up your good work studying, review these elements, and next time we're going to focus on some specific separate categories of crimes. And I suggest you do some practice, because when you apply the law, you learn it better. And please try to make an outline. Remember, the scales of justice require formalities to get justice. Very often, if you don't follow the proper procedures, even though your case has merit and you are on the right side of the law, if you don't follow procedures properly, they may make assumptions, and you have a lot at stake. You want to have an attorney. Subscribe, like, use the bell on the right to get notifications of new uploads. Please put your comments and questions below. I'd love to hear from you, and here are the works cited for this particular set. Thank you again, and have a great day.